Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. I've got with me DJ this week, and I promise you that even though you may think this is a repeat of previous episodes, it is not. The day, month, and year has changed, but India's top three have not. The fortunes of our top three have not. Before we get into that, I'm just going to ask you first, DJ, how are you doing? And I have you been part of the build up and the hype of the Asia Cup? I mean, it's already three matches in, or is it something that you started watching only yesterday with India Park?
Uh, to tell the truth, I've been following the earlier games on Cricket Info because they've been during the week as well. It's been a busy week at work. So I saw Nepali Azam, sorry, Babar Azam. He scored 151 against Nepal.
Dude.
So that was pretty good. He's got some crazy one-day stats, right? I think he's got like 2,900 and his average is nearly 60. But it seems to be that the Pakistan team have already made it to the Super Fours after their win against Nepal and against the game that was tied yesterday. But honestly, I only paid for my subscription to TNT Sports, which is broadcasting the Asia Cup here in the UK yesterday
Same. I
morning.
I did yes yeah I did the same thing. I did it like 2 hours before the India Pakistan game. So yeah, it's not been that easy to transition now into an ODI tournament, right? Because the last few Asia Cups, the last few tournaments we have all been T20. So it isn't that easy to kind of sit down and watch for 9 hours. And I was thinking like we've spent majority of our life doing this. Like why is there a mindset shift now? But yeah, I mean acknowledging it isn't that easy. But like you said, Nepal won by 238 runs, which was a massive. Sorry, Pakistan won by 238 runs, which was a massive total. And on Thursday, the second game, Sri Lanka won by 5 wickets. Arguably, the second group is going to be a little bit more interesting. And you've got, at the time of recording, you've got Bangladesh versus Afghanistan going to start in about 30 minutes. So I think I will watch parts of that. But
The Nagin
let's
Derby,
come.
though.
The
I like the way it's
Nagin
been called the
Derby.
Nagin Derby.
I haven't
And in
heard
our
that. That's the.
in our preview, Behram was actually saying that Sri Lanka might not make it through to the Super 4 stage. But
Yeah. I think
man,
they're
tells
missing
you how
some
much
key
we know.
players as well. But Dhoni's boys came good in that game against Bangladesh. Tikshana and Pathirana. Two guys who have been coached or mentored by Dhoni and just killed it, man. Like I was getting messages from friends and stuff. Tikshana took 2 wickets at an economy of 2.4. Pathirana took 4 wickets at an economy of 4.2. And I remember at the end of the IPL, Dhoni had said, keep Pathirana out of ODI and Test cricket. But clearly, Sri Lanka is not listening to Dhoni on that one. Right. Let's get straight into it, DJ. Big match. This happens probably once a year. There's a lot of hype around it. There was always going to be a threat of rain. And let's, you know, we acknowledge that rain spoiled the game. Like, I think it could have been a good match. But, DJ, let's get into the selection first. I think that part is quite important. So, any surprises for you in the team that played?
Oh, well, I think the only thing that was slightly debatable. So KL was injured, right? So we needed to play a wicketkeeper. Samson bats in the middle order. He's there as a like, I don't know, a standby player because he's not part of the main
Yeah, it's
squad.
some reserve, and I think if you were to take KL out, I don't know how easily you can bring him back in.
Yeah, so it was, and we've been playing and complaining about Ishan Kishan being used as a backup opener throughout, right? But suddenly there was a change in tactic. Okay, no, now Ishan Kishan is the stand-in keeper. We're going to bat him five, and he's going to keep wicket. Okay, I guess fine.
But by the way, when the team sheets came out, it showed Kishan at three.
Did it?
Yeah, I even both on TV, when they show the lineup and on like a Cricket Info Crick Buzz, it showed Kishan at three,
Okay,
which
I didn't pick that up. Yeah,
okay, I
that's
picked that up and I was like, okay, cool. I'm interested to see how this goes. But anyway, sorry, go on.
Because you're on the Kohli at 4 bandwagon, right?
I am,
So,
and I know we disagree on it, but let's talk more about that as we get into it. But
okay, no,
we
I had
should.
picked up that this guy was on the team sheet at 3. Um, so that was the one selection which I don't think they had a choice on really, because KL's injured for the first few games. Do you know what KL's injury is?
No, I
Hamstring.
don't. I don't know.
Mm. And then the other thing was Shami being left out, right? And you've played Shardul for the extra batting. You've
Yeah.
played Kuldeep for the wrist spin. No Akshar. And we'll come to Akshar, and I think you made a really good point on our group yesterday. I want to talk
Yeah.
more about that. But I think it's become redundant after what happened. But it was
No,
an interesting idea.
let's get into it now because I know we're going to get into the game later. Let's talk about like squads first. So, what do you think of the Shardul pick, man? Like he is an asset to the team, but Shardul playing in swinging conditions in England versus Shardul playing in the subcontinent. Do you think that just do you think it warrants a place in the side ahead of a Shami or an Akshay?
So I don't think so, to be totally honest with you. I think Akshar is a proper all rounder.
Yeah.
He's batted at 4 in a test match. I mean, I don't think there's more you can say about that. He's batted at 4 in a test match in turning conditions. Um, Shardul is more a bowler who can bat a little bit from time to time. I mean, his batting is insane. So that's the no one can really predict what he does. But Akshar is a more dependable cricketer in that front. And this goes to the conversation that we had a few weeks ago, which was why not play both Akshar and Jadeja in the same team? And then you came up with a really interesting idea, which was if you've got a gap at 4, you're not quite sure what to do, you need someone who can bat a little bit, and you're lacking bowlers, why not bat Akshar Patel at number 4?
Yeah, or at least have the flexibility. So just to address the 2 points you mentioned, one, I think most of India and Indian fans, I mean by that, see Akshar as a direct replacement to Jaddu. And so there are lots of questions, and we brought it up ourselves. Why is he in the squad? He can just, if something happens to Jaddu, he can just fly in the next morning, right? So the more we started thinking about it, the more we realized, hey, it's an Indian, it's in the Indian subcontinent. Spinners are always going to be handy. Now, yes, they may bowl a very uh, uh, similar sort of overs, right? So maybe 20 overs of that might be too much, but it's unlikely that between the two of them they're going to bowl the full 20. And you have this multi-skilled cricketer who can bat and who has bailed India out of situations in a number of times. You automatically get that batting depth till eighth. And clearly, with the inclusion of Shardul yesterday, that's the way India's thinking. So I don't think India's the thinking is wrong. You need to bat till eight. You need to have the multi-skilled cricketers. You need to have more than six bowlers. All are check boxes. But the only question was, yeah, does it need to be Shardul? Why can't it be an Akshar? Ideal maybe would have been a Sundar was a right arm off spinner versus a Jaddu who's a left arm off spinner, but he's just not around. So I think yeah, the number four question was me pushing it a little bit, but saying that there might be flexibility, man. Like there's a lefty who can bat. I think India trusts Jadeja a little bit more lower down the order, and I'm fine with that. Um, but you never know. Like I think it could be leading up to that.
No, but it brought up the question that you've got all right-handers in the top 4.
Yeah.
And so you need to mix it up. And you saw the value of mixing it up yesterday because Ishan Kishan came in at number 5, only left-hander in the team
Yeah.
up until then, and rescued the team. But we'll come to the knock and the attitude and the approach that they took. But that was the first one. Then there was the Shami. But I guess it was whether you play Shami or you play Shardul, right? That was the straight shootout.
Yeah, so
And
but tell me about the Shami versus Siraj because I think you're more in favor of Siraj. I'm more in favor of Shami.
I mean, Siraj's record recently, I think Siraj is the number one ODI bowler at the moment, if I'm not wrong.
Oh wow.
But
Okay.
he's played more. I mean, Shami is obviously class, right? In test matches, he's done well in the IPL as well. He's bowled well in ODIs as well. I mean, he's taken ODI hat trick that I've watched at Southampton in the World Cup.
Yeah.
So he is a class bowler, but off late, I think the issue with India was we weren't picking up early wickets in the power play, and that was so Siraj was brought in precisely to try and do that, and he delivered. I think he took a lot of wickets in the lead up to this World Cup, and so he's earned his spot there, in my view. I mean, they're different bowlers, right?
Yeah,
But Siraj has somehow been better suited to picking up early wickets. Shami is obviously probably a better all-round bowler uh,
yeah.
across formats, but that I think is what has gone in Siraj's favor.
I think it's fair. I think I just checked while you were talking. He is, I think, ranked three or four, and
Okay.
so he is in the top few. And yeah, I think you're right. I still am more of a fan of Shami, but I do feel like when things are tough, and that's what's happened to India. Like I remember there have been a couple of 10 wicket losses in knockout games. When things are tough, I have a feeling Siraj is going to be able to fight through it harder. Like he
Mm.
just feels like he has that little bit more of that grit to get through and break through. But what a luxury it is for India if you've got Shami sitting out uh, to accommodate for these guys, right? So I think that's fair. I think Siraj is probably going to start unless his form starts going away, but this looks like a pretty set team. I'm not sure how too many changes that we're going to see, especially in the balance of this Asia Cup. So, with that, let's get into the game a little bit. So, it is forecast for rain. Apparently, it was a little bit overcast. Both captains wanted to bat. Rohit Sharma won and batted first. DJ, what do you make of that? When historically you know that when rain is going to play a part, you want to chase, so you know exactly the DLS score and what you need to chase.
Yeah, I think it was driven by the pitch more than the rain, I guess, because it was a bit too paced. I guess it was a bit tacky. The ball wasn't really coming onto the bat. It was moving around a little bit as well. Um, so maybe they felt that having runs on the board would be advantageous in that case. Um, but yeah, interesting. I think it's one of the things India will look at doing is batting first and trying to set big scores and going hard from ball one. And I think that attitude came out even though we were 48 for 3 and 66 for 4. The Indian batters didn't stop playing shots, and I don't think they're experimenting with the 11 as much. They're more experimenting more with their approach. And to be fair to India, actually, they've apparently between World Cups been the other team other than England to score more than run a ball throughout the
Yeah,
ODI cricket. So
we
there's been a mind shift change with the likes of Ishan Kishan scoring a double, Gill has scored a double hundred. So there's a
all
mind
this
shift
year,
change.
mind you, all in 2023.
Yeah, yeah, but that helps when you look at the stats, I guess.
Yeah, I think from World Cup knockout to World Cup knockout, we do very well, like between these two, and when it comes to the day. But anyway, this is not a knockout game by any means. This is it was a nice build up because every India Pakistan matches, but I think the stakes weren't that high. Maybe if these two teams make the final of the Asia Cup, it'll be definitely the stakes will be higher there. But you know, just before we kind of go into a break, let's talk a little bit in detail about the openers. Rohit and Gill walked out there. Rohit looked much more comfortable and confident, and he was actually trying to play some shots. He got two nice boundaries, and till that rain halted kind of play. But Gill, on the other hand, so I just want to talk to me a little bit about the contrast between these two guys. Is it an experience thing? Is it nerves? Is it the fact that a Gill maybe hasn't played a Shaheen Afridi, Naseem, and Haris Rauf yet? Because IPL, these are the only three guys you don't see. What was it like? I mean, my dad was texting me and saying, "What is going on? Why is Gill struggling? It's just not something we've seen before." So talk to me a little bit about the approach of both batsmen.
I mean, I think Rohit is obviously very well experienced. He's a class batter. He's been around for a long time, and he's played Pakistan. And in fact, the last time we played Pakistan, which was in the 2019 World Cup, Rohit got 140. Right. Gill, I think, just had an off day. It happens to batters. You lose your rhythm a little bit. Bowling gets a little bit on top of you, and it was difficult conditions, to be honest. I mean, once the Pakistanis went off for the break, They came back and they figured out there's not swing, so they started hitting the deck more, and the ball started moving off the pitch more. They weren't trying to swing the ball in the air as much, and that made it quite hard. I mean, I think he got out to Haris Rauf, right? Finally, like playing on to Haris like
Yeah,
for 10 of 32 balls or something.
yeah,
It's just one of those days where sometimes you battle through it and then you're fine. But I think he was just scratchy, and it's unusual to see Gill being so scratchy. But it was a tough pitch, tough conditions, and I mean, it's a damn good attack,
yeah.
to
It
be
is. I
honest.
mean, I don't. Three fast bowlers like that. It is a bloody good attack. Like so,
Yeah.
I get it. It's probably his first time facing them properly. Maybe in the last Asia Cup, I can't remember if he played or not. But it is. He hasn't played them often. Before we go into the break, DJ, talk to me about the Rohit dismissal. I thought that ball was great. Now, when you look at the scorecard, it's the top three have all been bowled, which is not new for us. But that ball, I feel like Rohit Sharma couldn't have done too much about it.
So it's a setup, right? He goes across, and then he brings one in without much of a change in his wrist action. And it's the problem for an Indian fan is it feels, because we've seen so much cricket, it feels like it's an action replay. It feels like the, when was it? Was it the Asia Cup last year
Yeah,
or the World
I
Cup
think it was Asia Cup last year.
21? It was where Shaheen did that to Rahul and Rohit, and I think one more, and then Kohli scored I think it may be the World Cup,
It was so the World
opening
Cup.
over of the World Cup.
Yeah, World Cup he did it, and then the Asia Cup. Then we spent a year talking about how you're going to negate him, and then he did it in the World Cup, and then we spent a year talking about how you're going to negate him, and then he's done it again in the Asia Cup.
And I just wonder whether it's basically a lack of Indian left arm seamers being played in the nets. This wasn't a thing that used to happen when Zach was bowling in the nets, right? Maybe they just need to get Arshdeep on every tour
Yeah,
and just make him bowl to them. And it was Amol Majumdar's done a very good analysis of the dismissal on Cricinfo's Instagram page. I was watching it yesterday about how Rohit opened up his stance, which you do because you're facing a left armer from a different angle. And so when the ball went away, he wasn't expecting it to come back in that sharply. So that's right. He cut him in half and he went through the gate. So that was, I mean, it was good bowling. It was, I mean, Rohit is it's difficult to advise one of the world's best batters on technique, right? And we're not
yeah.
qualified to do that, but it was not a good watch from an Indian cricket
It
fan's
wasn't. It
perspective because
wasn't.
it felt like deja vu,
Yeah,
like falling across. We seem to, when there's more tension in the body, I guess you're not as fluent, right? Like, and that happens. You fall across, the ball hits the pad, or you fall across, it takes the stumps. We're more we okay, maybe, I don't know, nobody's done the stats on this, I'm sure, but we are probably more susceptible to the incoming ball when you're
yeah,
more stressed out.
yeah.
You'll fall over a bit more.
I'm pretty sure you're right about that. So yeah, but I agree. I think it brought back too much like PTSD when you
Trent
saw it.
Trent Bolt
Yeah,
Trent Bolt
same
2019 is what it brought back.
exactly. But it was, I think it was an unplayable ball. Like so, I give a lot of credit. But you're right. The setup was great. We're going to take a quick break and be back to talk about the rest of the Indian innings. Remember, it was a rained out game with no results, so we're only going to focus on Indian batting, which pretty much anyone who listens to us knows that 80% of the time we do that anyway. So,
Also a great result. You just bat and then it rains and you put a wicket.
exactly. The memes on Babar Azam were great that he didn't get to bat after fielding. On that note, we're taking a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back after the break. Right, so where we left it is that Rohit Sharma got out again, clean bowled to Shaheen Afridi. And in comes Virat Kohli. Because of that lineup that had been showed on TV and on the apps, I was shocked. And I was like, no, 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 don't do this. Don't walk in now. But Kohli's Kohli. DJ told me yesterday he scored almost 14,000 runs at the number three position, and that is his rightful position. He owns it. He deserves to bat there. So he comes charging out. And there was, I think, one kind of shot he hit which got the edge of the bat. He hit a glorious cover drive.
On the up, yeah.
Yeah,
So
that
good.
and then I was like, yes, this is Kohli at three. And then a couple of balls later, Kohli gets bowled, and I was like, yep, this is also Kohli at three. And so India were now sitting in a situation with a 27 for two in 6 overs, with both Kohli and Rohit gone, and you could see like the Pakistan team and the Pakistan fans were just all over us at that point. What again, DJ? All too familiar. Anything you want to comment on Kohli's dismissal?
I mean, it was unlucky. He played on, right? And I don't think there's a technical problem. It's just been done by the conditions on the pitch and probably his eagerness to try and push the scoring along. He liked feeling ball on bat. What I particularly enjoyed this week in Kohli's, uh, the news about Kohli, I don't really want to talk about that innings, so it's too brief. But his yo-yo test score. Apparently, he's been reprimanded for publishing his yo-yo
Yeah.
test score.
Yeah, dude. I saw that, and he was like nicely chilling on the grass and taking a
17.2.
selfie with. But the bigger question is, how has Rohit? Because then other scores were published as well. Now I don't know if that's fake news or not, but
Were they? No.
Rohit has a higher score in the yo-yo test than Kohli.
This sounds like a Rohitian
Okay,
conspiracy.
fine. Yeah, I hope.
Rohitians versus Viratians.
I hope because I spent a lot of time thinking, has Rohit Sharma just like 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 me as a student, have you just cracked it where you're like, I will just study the syllabus. I will figure out how to get from point A to point B very fast and not do anything else. So my biceps don't matter, triceps don't matter, chest doesn't matter. Every day I'll just go from point A to
Just
point
deep
B
dive.
as far. And I was like, did he actually beat Kohli? I highly doubt it, but
No, no chance. But I mean, it's yeah, it's I don't know. He's fit enough.
yeah.
That's all we care about right now, right?
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, I
But you're
think
right.
probably
They started
let's
posting different scores, and yeah, man. And like apparently the rumors, Gill was the highest. Kohli was at 7.2. Rohit was ahead of Kohli. But I guess you can't publish your scores, right? You can't because that's probably not allowed.
why though? I mean,
Yeah, I
who
maybe.
do you think reported him? Like, who do you think like said this is unacceptable? Why have you
Some.
published your score?
I mean,
Now we'll all be asked to publish our scores.
I think it'll be some BCCI administration guy who probably just sent clause 18.2 to him over WhatsApp and just was like, "Sir, next time please don't post." I can't see Kohli being reprimanded in many other ways.
Pretty funny. Yeah. So that is the news that I found pretty amusing this week.
Yeah, but you're right. His batting stay was too short, so that was an interesting discussion on Kohli. But
Or maybe he charged out like that just as to make a point to that official.
maybe, yeah, maybe he was
Yeah,
beating.
he
Maybe he
ran
beat his
really
yo-yo score.
fast. He's
He
like, I'll show
does.
you my yo-yo test on screen.
He does run it very fast nowadays. I don't know. He runs out also equally fast. A lot of occasions. Anyway, more on that. But then
Short
you
stay.
then you had a situation where Shubman Gill, his feet weren't moving, but he kind of spent enough time at the crease that you thought that okay, the hard yards are he's put in the hard yards. He is going to now come out and make a big score because chasing strike rate for a player like Shubman Gill in a 50 over game is not an issue. Like even if he's going at 30, 40, all of us know that if he stays, he can get there, right? He can get it to 100 easily over time. But so he was actually joined by Shreyas Iyer, who got out before him. Let me just stand corrected there. Shreyas Iyer comes in.
Smoked it to mid wicket.
Yeah, so Shreyas Iyer comes in and 14 runs of 9 balls with 2 boundaries, and both boundaries look pretty good. In fact, one chipped his bottom edge of his bat. And so let's talk about Shreyas Iyer a little bit, right? The other guy who, apart from KL Rahul, has been out for a while. Obviously, a very fit guy, and I think he himself said that I was shocked at how quickly I kind of recovered and made it back. So he's fit, he's match fit, and I do believe that again in the subcontinent, people like Shreyas Iyer can do well because I know a lot of people are questioning whether he should be in the team. I think he has put in the effort, and I think over the next 2 months you will see he will get you some runs. So DJ, are you firstly comfortable with Shreyas Iyer walking into this side after that long break? And ahead of a Tilak and a Sky. Um, and
Hmm.
what did you make of his short but impactful stay at the crease?
He didn't do enough to really make an impact. I mean, there
Yeah.
were some nice shots, but it was a good opportunity for him to spend some time in the middle. But maybe sometimes when you've been out for a long time, you're anxious to get going, get runs under your belt, and maybe that manifested in his shot that got him caught at mid wicket because he was enjoying the pace of Haris Rauf, and even when he got out, he really did hit that pretty hard. I don't mind Shreyas being back. You need to test the match fitness of these players. He was the incumbent. He plays spin super well, which will be important in this World Cup. He can stabilize the innings. He's got enough. And if the ball isn't moving, I'm okay with Shreyas Iyer playing. Um, Equally, I'm also okay with Sky playing or Tilak playing because it's much of a muchness for me in its own way. I think Tilak now. If they've not played him in the first game here, query whether he'll actually be a real contender. Maybe they'll play him against Nepal, but what are you really going to learn against Nepal unless you bat first? And I hope India bat first in that game, not bowl and say okay 50
Yeah.
all out and chase the runs with one wicket or no wickets down. That's you're not going to this. That's not the point of this. Winning an ODI, I hope, is not on against Nepal is not going to be his Rohit's and Dravid's mindset. That part, I'm okay with Shreyas. I would like to also see Tilak get a game, maybe in the Super Fours. I would like to see Sky get a game because there's no reason why he shouldn't be getting a game. But and we'll come to this. I wonder whether the whole debate around number four has actually been solved by, ironically, the number five.
Versus Kishan.
And I messaged you just before this game saying, I have a feeling this guy is going to be a number four in the World Cup.
Yeah.
Ishan Kishan.
Yeah.
Before the
So
game as well.
yeah, no, I get it, right? I think the challenge I have is that I think Kishan is just a backup. Whether he scores a double century or he saves India in 82 of 81 against Pakistan in a situation where we were in big time trouble.
66 for 4.
Yeah, I think KL Rahul is going to walk in and Ishan Kishan is going to miss out. Okay. Now, I hate saying this, but I do think that will happen.
But that's still okay because you can still play Kishan and not give him the gloves, right? You can bat
I,
him at 4
I
and
don't think that's going
KL
to
can bat
happen.
5. Lefty B.
Then who are you dropping? Shreyas Iyer.
Yeah, because he
Yeah,
doesn't score. But you've got to back players that are going to score runs, right? And the left-handedness is too good to pass up. The Kishan left-handedness.
yeah. I get it. I just don't see a world in which he's going to play as a pure bat over an Iyer. But again, it's September, October, November. You have like almost 3 months of ODI cricket, and a lot can happen between form and injury. So everyone has to stay fresh. Iyer gets out, you're right. He smoked a ball from Harris Rauf straight to Fakhar Zaman. And I think he was just shocked because he actually hit it quite well, but he hit it straight to the fielder. And so then comes in Kishan. And at this point, as an Indian fan, you are panicking because when the score is 66 for 4, Kishan has been out a long time back. Like it's been an hour since you would have seen Kishan, typically, because he opens. And this guy's walked in, and you know he's got an aggressive game. You also know that he's got a great mindset, but you also think, is this guy reliable in the middle order where he's never played? And man, he just stuck it out. I am so happy for him. I was so excited when I watched him. He played his shots, he took some risks, he navigated the middle overs beautifully. He took dot balls where needed, he took singles where needed. DJ, like, this is a side I have not seen of him before.
No, but I also want to ask you. So yeah, I agree with all of that, right? But do you think Pakistan made a mistake by taking their foot off the pedal there at 66-4? They brought Shadab on, they brought Nawaz on. I mean, truth be told, we are not playing Naseem, Haris, and,
Yeah,
and Shaheen. And when you did play them, what happened? Right? So they I suspect it was a combination of really good batting, excellent temperament, as you say, all of those things. But I think Pakistan started thinking and planning for what to do at the dead. So we're going to save some of our bowlers. So tactically, I don't know. Do you think they made an error there,
Yeah, now you
Pakistan?
call it out. I do think so. I do think Shadab is world class. So um, I don't think Shadab was so much the issue as maybe a Nawaz and Aga Salman who also bowled 4 overs. I think you're right. They probably should have kept the pressure with Shadab and another fast bowler. So they should have kept that pressure up. But at the same time, I don't think it takes away from Kishan's innings at all.
No, no, it doesn't. And
Yeah,
that's an innings that, I mean, it's about performing on the big stage, right? Nobody remembers Dhoni hadn't scored anything in the 2011 World Cup.
yeah,
You only remember the 91 not out,
yeah.
right? So it's when there are eyeballs on you, which is the case with an India-Pakistan game, probably one of the world's largest audiences for any TV game. If there was a time to perform, that's when you that's when you should perform, and that's when you remember that this guy's rescued us from a terrible situation where it's not a long batting lineup as well. Remember, and we saw that when we got bowled out by the end of it for 266, kind of collapsing. Yeah, it's a cracking innings. It was a good mix. It was a going at a run of ball. I think he ended up getting cramp, and that was unfortunate. I think that's just the conditions, the humidity and
Yeah.
stuff finally got to him, and he got out. I think because of that, trying to hit, because his running was starting to hamper the scoring rate. Right?
Yeah, but he hit what almost 50 out of 48 out of 82 in boundaries, right? So that just shows you that if you take that out, it's roughly 30-35 runs in almost 70 balls. So he was going at like a 50 strike rate for the rest of the game apart from his boundaries. So and that's why I say it was measured, but how much of it also had to do with this cool, calm head on the other side, who is just like this MS Dhoni protege now, who's just like coming in and just doesn't look stressed, doesn't let anything phase him. He's just ready to take a singular ball till is required. And I'm talking about Hardik Pandya. He's hit 87 of 90, the highest scorer. I was very excited thinking he's going to make a century because I can't remember the last time Hardik Pandya has made a century. He just doesn't bat in those positions that allows him to get there. And he has batted at number 6 but played the innings of a number 4. And I
Hmm.
think that is where, like, partly when you were talking about Sky and Tilak, and sorry, I'm bringing in too many issues into this one particular topic, but yeah, maybe a Pandya needs to bat up and make room for a Sky or a Tilak to come lower down and be a little bit more explosive towards the end. But
But he has to bowl also, so
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And so and that's where maybe having an Akshar or somebody like that will help. But anyway, uh, too many things in one particular discussion. But let's just talk
Yeah.
about Hardik Pandya yesterday.
Calm, cool, collected. You saw kind of a new Pandya after that first IPL victory, right? Even last year in the Asia Cup, you saw him finish a game in the last over against Pakistan.
Yeah,
Again, things that you remember are, though he took 3 for 25 in that game, it was a T20 game, and he was ice cool at the end. Of course, in the inside, you're like, your heart is racing at a million miles an hour, right? Like, of course it is. But he gives off that vibe, like, I'm there, I'll do it. And there was one particular over that I think it was a Haris Rauf over where he took three fours, and I was so like, it was too exciting to watch because they were proper cricket shots. They were not wild hoiks or anything. And Pandya has changed from being an out and out hitter.
yeah.
Someone, if you remember, we'd gone to Edgbaston to watch an India Pakistan again, an India Pakistan game, and it was the
Three
last over, and it was the last
sixes.
three balls in the Champions Trophy 17. He hit the last three balls for six.
Yeah,
He
again
could
in a
produce
in
sixes on demand.
yeah.
And that was his game. He'd grown up playing that, but he's matured. He's added to that game. What I'm keen to make sure is that he's not lost that old game of his. And we've talked about his hitting over the offside, which was a challenge. There's been games where he's got stuck. Yes, this is great, and almost the failure of the top order has almost given you the opportunity to test your middle and lower order, right?
Yeah.
And the middle order they have shown, but The lower order haven't. But it's not often that your 5 and 6 in India score 80s, right?
Yeah.
And so that's not a bad result despite the top order failing, because I mean, what are you going to really learn from Rohit and Kohli and Gill
Yeah.
scoring another 100?
So I agree. I think the biggest challenge in our league stages of big tournaments are that the lower order doesn't get a chance to bat. Come knockout game, the lower order has to suddenly perform. And so I'm quite happy, exactly as you said it. I am just a little bit concerned if Hardik Pandya has lost that hitting ability from overs 40 to 50. He feels like such a perfect fit for overs 20 to 40, knowing how to take the singles yet keep the game at a around 6 runs per over, right? I
But
worry
but we
about
saw
that.
him do that a little bit against England in the T20 game. So I don't think he's lost it. I think it's more selective now.
Yeah, and that's great. If that is the case, then you're playing based on the situation. So long as he's not India's number six who is struggling to hit sixes in the 42nd over, I think this is a. I mean, I think Hardik Pandya is probably one of the biggest assets in the team. So
Disappointed by Judds?
little bit, but I guess after like a 140 run partnership, um, I don't know. I don't know what Judge was. I don't know the frame of mind he was coming into because when he came into bat, Jadeja, India was still looking pretty strong. But I mean, no matter what you say, when you see Thakur below him, you also know that the game is ending at Jadeja getting out, right? After that, there is not much batting, and I don't know. Yeah, I was disappointed because there was a point at which I thought 285, 290 is definitely on the cards, and then you saw Kishan, Pandya, and Jadeja all get out pretty quickly, right? At 204 for 5, 239 for 6, 242 for 7. And then Thakur, beautiful, 242 for 8. At that point, you knew this game is done, right? And you can't run away from the fact that your last three guys are not going to get you enough runs. Bumrah, credit to him, he likes to
He
swing it,
swung.
and he got 16, if he didn't get,
Like
India would have
seven
ended up
times
at
his average.
250, right? India would have ended at
Yeah.
250 if he didn't get that. So it was just a weird situation.
Yeah. I mean, Ashwin, I'm sure, has a few things to say about someone like Shardul. And that's not our Ashwin, it's our Ashwin, the one that's on the show. Just to be clear before we cause any controversy. I mean, it would be nice to have actually seen our Ashwin in this side, man, instead of a Shardul. Can bat. It's calm in this kind of situation. Bowls amazing off spin. I was surprised he wasn't in the squad, to be honest. I mean, he's till last year he's good enough to play a T20 World Cup, but I mean, you're then not playing him in a 50 over World Cup. It was a bit harsh.
Yeah, and I think, has it happened before that India hasn't gone into a World Cup at home, in home conditions without an off spinner? Like, that's
Oh.
odd for me, right? Like, it's.
We had two in 2011. We had both
Yes,
Harvey.
yeah. I
Harvey
mean,
and Ash.
yeah, and if you remember, there was something recently, like 2 weeks ago, that said MS Dhoni actually told the selectors, I don't want Rohit Sharma in my squad, I want a Piyush Chawla, right?
Maybe.
So he chose
Maybe played
Piyush.
also.
Yeah, he chose Piyush Chawla over Rohit Sharma in his 2011 World Cup winning squad. Sometimes you have to make that hard decision. India doesn't have an off spinner. India doesn't have a bowling all rounder apart from Akshar and Shardul. I know everyone's going crazy about Tilak's bowling, but seriously, like, have we seen enough to be able to say Tilak is going to show up, be a mainstay in the squad, and bowl 4 overs every game?
Can I make a controversial suggestion?
Please.
Maybe they're saving Ashwin for fitness reasons, and they may pick him towards the end,
Yeah. So
because they've
I
said that no, the door is not closed on anyone and all.
Yeah. So I think the door to me is closed on a Chahal
Yeah,
because there's no
because
space for
Kuldeep is in.
Chahal here.
Correct,
But I think
correct.
Ashwin is, yeah, I think Ashwin is the only guy who could potentially make a breakthrough in this team. But on what basis, I don't know. Like, there's nothing between
It'll
now
be on
and.
the basis of either Shardul not being there or Akshar. I guess he's directly up against Shardul, right? You don't
Yeah.
need more
I
fillers.
think I think if Shardul plays the next 2 3 games and doesn't perform, I think his position is going to seriously be at risk because you're taking up a look again. It comes out the same thing. You're taking up a position in the squad when you could be traveling with the squad and play in case something happens to another player. But Shardul in India is just not. a good enough bowler or batsman to make it to an 11.
Yeah,
It's
and
just,
Ashwin is a much better batter
yes, yeah,
in Indian conditions than abroad. So
yeah,
that argument also
yeah. So you could, yeah. So I think there is genuine merit in this. I think you're right, DJ. I think Ashwin could be the one change that this squad has. And I do think that there's a very high chance that will happen. But I would also like to see Akshar play. I just want to put it out there again. Like I would also like to see Akshar and Jadeja play in the same squad.
yeah. The only thing that goes against Ashwin is the fielding and the general
Yeah,
fitness. But I mean, does experience beat all that? Does class beat all that? I'd say probably yes. But
yeah.
we'll see. What
And
do we know?
yeah, they have picked him. You're right. The last T20 World Cup, right? So we're
He's the one who
gonna,
left the ball against Pakistan. I
yeah.
mean, the
When
coolness to
Nawaz was
do that,
bowling, um,
insane.
yeah, so I mean, it's yeah, it was a bit of a letdown because we were all looking forward to it. Rain came, the game kind of ended there, and I'm glad they called it
Who do you
off.
think would have won? Who do you think would have won?
I do think Pakistan would have won, but it was interesting. I read something from Ramiz Raja today who was saying that everyone was saying that this game was just Pakistan. It was not that easy. They may have felt like they had the upper hand, but it's a big pressure game. 266 is a decent total. They also said in a rain affected game, it may have caused more pressure. So I don't think it would have been like out and out Pakistan's game, but I do think Pakistan would were the favorites for me.
Mm, I think they would have won it.
Yeah,
I think 266 is very hard to defend.
yeah, I agree, and that's what I'm saying. I think may have been some hiccups along the way, but I think Pakistan would have
Yeah,
won.
but players don't get stressed out about early wickets or anything anymore. As we saw with the Indian team, they just kept going. And
Yeah,
they had a shortish batting lineup. They ended with Shardul pretty much, right? But
yeah,
not even maybe before ended at Judge at 7. And they just kept going for it. And that's how the modern player plays. And that's how England have set the template. So,
yeah. Anyway, so disappointing India Pakistan match after a long time when the last one I remember was the Kohli madness in October last year. But this was, like we said, a game that hopefully is not the last India Pakistan game in this Asia Cup. We definitely have a scheduled game in the World Cup, so there's a lot more for us to look forward to. In the meantime, India is now going to take on Nepal on Monday, the 4th of September. And after that, we're then going to see the schedule. Super Fours, I think, should be a lot more fun. We are going to be with you next week to cover the Super Fours and start talking about the final, which is only 2 weeks away. So, lots coming up in the Asia Cup. I think definitely more exciting than it has been for the first couple of days. But thanks, DJ, and we will see you all again in a week's time from today.
yeah, like, subscribe, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. One tip, one hand. Get in touch. Take care, guys.